Okay, thank you for your patience. Again, this is a meeting of the Englewood Liquor and Marijuana Licensing Authority, Wednesday, April 5th. To start us off, can we have a roll call, please, Jackie?
Member Spiegel? Members Mott?
Present.
Member Monroe? Member Ridley?
Here.
Chairman Wenzel?
Here. Thank you. Then first substantive item on our agenda is the consideration of the minutes from our previous meeting. And we've all had a chance to review these ahead of time, and unless there's any comment or any reason not to, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of our last regular meeting.
Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the March 15th, 2017 meeting.
I second.
All those in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you.
All votes have been cast. Let the record show 4 ayes.
Our next item on the agenda is a citizens forum, which is an opportunity for citizens of Englewood to address the authority about any meeting or about any matters that are not currently before us tonight, but this would be any general matters on policy. There will be an opportunity both we have 2 public hearings tonight, a public hearing for a new liquor license for One Barrel LLC, which is a new restaurant, and also a public hearing for a new medical marijuana license for Be Good Ventures at 11 West Hamden. So within those public hearings, there will be opportunity for people to share their thoughts with us. But outside of that, this is an opportunity for anybody to address us on more general matters. If there are, I don't have anybody on the sign-up sheet for that, but seeing nobody rush to the podium, I think we can probably move on to the next agenda item. Our next item is various liquor license renewals for, and I'll read these in a list. Dillon and Dillon, Inc., doing business as Englewood Liquor, located at 3531 South Logan Street, for a liquor store license. Zalek Investments, LLC, doing business as Off-Broadway Wing and Spirits at 51 Englewood Parkway. This is a liquor store license. Mini Mart, Inc., doing business as Loaf and Jug, number 803. This is a 3-2 beer off-premises license. The Ruan Family, Inc., doing business as Bistro King, located at 3542 South Fox Street, for a hotel restaurant liquor license. CEC Entertainment, Inc., doing business as Chuck E. Cheese's, number 721, at 1001 Hamden Avenue, for a hotel restaurant license. And our final renewal of Cochino Taco, located at 3495 South Downing Street, for a hotel restaurant license. Are there any items of discussion about these renewals, and if not, we can move. I'll entertain a motion to approve them with an omnibus vote.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve renewals A through F on the agenda.
I second.
All those in favor of approving the aforementioned liquor license renewals, please raise your hand.
All votes have been cast. Let the record show 4 ayes.
Next on the agenda is a new manager registration for Dillon Companies, Inc., doing business as King Soopers, number 111, located at 3495 South University Boulevard, changing managers from Evans to Greaser. If there are no comments, I'll entertain a motion to approve the new manager registration for King Soopers.
Motion to approve. Second.
All those in favor, please raise your hand.
All votes have been cast. Let the record show 4 ayes.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the public hearing for One Barrel LLC. It's a new restaurant hotel liquor license. And at this time, we will, this is located at 3421 South Broadway. And at this time, I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So move that we open the public hearing.
Okay, and second. All those in favor? Okay. The public hearing will come to order. And is the applicant here? Great. Please come forward to the podium if you would. And Jackie here will swear you in.
The business address or my home address? 3421 South Broadway, 80113 is the business address.
Great. Thank you, and thank you for coming tonight. Thank you for your application. Jackie, if you would like to read into the record the city's exhibits for the application.
For Exhibit A, we have the application, individual history record, financial questionnaire, floor plan, certificate of good standing, and lease. Exhibit B, a certified letter advising of the status of the application, and notice of public hearing was mailed from Jackie McKinnon, Acting City Deputy Clerk of City of Englewood, dated March 23rd, 2017, to One Barrel LLC, DBA One Barrel. Exhibit C, publisher's affidavit verifying that the notice of public hearing was published in the Englewood Herald on February 28th, 2017, and on the City Englewood's website from February 28th, 2017 to April 5th, 2017. Exhibit D, zoning compliance, a memorandum dated January 19th, 2017 from Brooke Bell, Planner 2, from Englewood Department of Community Development, verifying compliance with zoning and distance requirements. Exhibit E, acceptance of neighborhood and boundaries, affidavit of posting a property. F, maps indicating boundaries, Yale Avenue on north, Oxford Avenue on south, Pearl Street on west, Huron Street on east. Location of applicant, 19 other hotel, restaurant, liquor license establishments located within the set boundaries. And then we have, for the applicant's exhibits, Exhibit 1, petition to the City of Englewood.
Thank you, Jackie. Well, at this time, you are welcome to present your case for the issuance of the liquor license. In general terms, without, in very general terms, do you have a testimony tonight or evidence to present?
I don't. We did turn in where we went around and got signatures.
Okay.
But I didn't bring anything else. I didn't think I needed to.
Okay. Well, if you have anything to add at this point, this would be the time.
We're just very excited, hopefully, to have the opportunity to come into Englewood and open our restaurant in Englewood. We feel it would really help bond the community with the South Broadway area and really help it kind of expand. And we feel we'd really be nice in the neighborhood and would love to have everyone as our patrons.
Great. Thank you. At this time, we'll entertain anyone who, I don't think anyone signed up to speak in favor of or to oppose the license, but if there's anyone here who would like to do so, you can raise your hand or stand up. Not seeing any hands or folks standing, I'll now turn to my fellow authority members to ask any questions of the applicant that they may have. I'll start, I guess. Have you run a restaurant before or been a part of having a liquor license or managed a liquor license before?
I haven't. I have done management in a restaurant before, but it was more of an assistant manager for Texas Roadhouse over in Littleton.
Okay.
Not the one that's in Sheridan, I think the closest. But so I've done a little bit of inventory for ordering, but again, it's never been managing and constantly making sure that it's up to date and that we are in good standing. But I am aware. I have gone recently to the Colorado Restaurant Association. They did a free little seminar that actually had some police come and discuss a lot about liquor license and a lot about which laws are usually the ones that people forget to keep up with and questions that are usually asked with it. So I was doing a little bit of a educational session on it before.
Okay. Are you familiar with TIPS training or the?
Yes.
Okay.
I've taken it in the past, and actually we plan on making sure that our servers have to be TIPS qualified or certified, and then I also will be taking a TIPS class. They have them listed with the Restaurant Association again, where we can sign up and take the classes, and then also ask our employees to take the classes too that will be involved in serving alcohol.
What's your planned start date?
We're hoping September. Honestly, we'd hope for August. It all kind of depends on when the building's turned over to us. The landlords have a little bit of construction that they have to do before they can turn it over. They think they'll be done with their construction around June 30th, but we've already started with our architects in building the layout and working on a suitable item to turn into the city for the building department. So again, we're hoping September, but it all depends on when we can get the building.
Okay. Are you familiar with the distributorship requirements and where you need to buy most of your inventory?
All the vendors and roughly the percentage that we have, where we have to buy through the vendors, and then we have a certain amount of money that you can buy from liquor stores each year, but we don't really plan on using that. But we're familiar with the vendors.
Okay. Do you have well, if you don't have a copy of the Colorado Liquor Code and the rules, I'd encourage you to keep one handy. Ryder, do you have anything?
Just briefly, as far as doing your survey, did you just go door to door around the neighborhood, or
we went door to door, and then we also went to a lot of the businesses that are going to be our neighbors. So we talked to Brew on Broadway, Breakfast Queen, a few of the different areas in our neighborhood, and we got a few of their signatures, and then also a few of their employees that worked there. But for the majority of it, we went around door to door, and people that we knew in the area as well.
It appears everyone was a yes?
Yes. We had one person that didn't want to sign. I don't think he wanted his information on it, but he didn't say yes or no. He just said he didn't want to participate.
Jackie, do we have any idea how many of the signatures on the petition were within the neighborhood boundaries? No. Well, it looks like at least 3 or 4 of them were. Okay. Are there any further questions for the applicant?
No.
Okay. Well, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to, unless there's a reason to retire to executive session, which I'm not sure that there would be. I'll entertain a motion to approve the liquor license for One Barrel LLC located at 3421 South Broadway in Englewood.
I'll make a motion to approve the new restaurant hotel liquor license for One Barrel LLC, doing business as One Barrel at 3421 South Broadway.
I second.
All those in favor, please raise your hand.
All right. All votes have been cast. Let the record show 4 ayes.
Thanks very much. I Appreciate it.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Well, it's tradition, maybe, I guess, to go one by one and explain why we voted yes, briefly. Ryder, would you like to start us off?
Sure. I voted in favor of this liquor license application because they satisfied all of the requirements for obtaining the license. They demonstrated a desire for the business in the community through the survey they submitted, and I think this business will be a good addition to that area of Englewood.
I agree with Member Mott, and I have nothing more to add. They fit the requirements, and I'm glad they're coming.
Yeah, I'll pile on to that and just say, location, location, location. It's a good spot. So,
I would agree. That's what I was going to say.
Great. Well, I'll at this time entertain a motion to close the public hearing for One Barrel LLC.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for One Barrel LLC.
I'll second that.
All those in favor of closing the public hearing, please raise your hand.
All votes have been cast. Let the record show 4 ayes.
Public hearing for One Barrel LLC is hereby closed. And at this time, our next item on the agenda is the public hearing for Be Good Ventures for a medical marijuana license application. At this time, I will entertain a motion to open the public hearing for Be Good Ventures for the medical marijuana license.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing for Be Good Ventures.
Second.
All those in favor of opening the public hearing, please raise your hand.
Let the record show all votes have been cast. 4 ayes.
The public hearing for Be Good Ventures is hereby open. And it was not entirely disorderly. It will come to order. Okay, so we have received an application for a medical marijuana center type 1 license for Be Good Ventures LLC, doing business as Be Good Apothecary, 11 West Hamden Avenue, Suite 102 in Englewood. This hearing will proceed by the applicants presenting the evidence that they choose to present, and when they are finished with the presentation of their evidence, any members of the public protesting or any protesters' attorneys may but are not obligated to present their evidence. Anybody giving testimony will be sworn in by the Deputy City Clerk. She will have you spell your name and state your address for the record. If the authority chooses, we may retire to an executive session, after which a decision may be made in open session, and we'll go forward from there. Jackie, if you would introduce the exhibits, that would be great. Thank you.
Great. For Be Good Ventures, Exhibit A, the application, individual history record, floor plan, financial questionnaire, lease. Exhibit B, a certified letter advising of the status of the application and notice of a public hearing was mailed from Jackie McKinnon, Acting Deputy City Clerk of City of Englewood, dated March 27th, 2017, to Be Good Ventures, LLC, DBA, Be Good, Apothecary. Copies of written support and opposition. Exhibit C, a publisher's affidavit verifying that the notice of public hearing was published in the Englewood Herald March 9th, 2017, and on the City of Englewood's website from February 28th, 2017 to April 5th, 2017. Exhibit D, acceptance of neighborhood boundaries and affidavit of posting of property. Exhibit E, zoning compliance, a memorandum dated January 26, 2017 from Brooke Bell, Planner 2 for Englewood Department of Community Development, verifying compliance with zoning and distance requirements. Exhibit F, maps indicating boundaries, Yale Avenue on north, Oxford Avenue on south, Pearl Street on west, Heron Street on east. No other licensed marijuana dispensaries are within the 2,500-foot buffer. Exhibit G, proof of public notification, a mailing list, and certification that letters were mailed via U.S. Postal Service to the listed addresses 10 days prior to hearing.
Thank you, Jackie. So that we are all on the same page, I would like to read the standard for the approval, or it's rather the way that it's stated, it's the standard for not approving a license of this sort. So bear with me while I kind of read through these, but this is, I think it'll make for a more orderly hearing, and I think it may actually benefit us all by being on the same page. In considering applications for medical marijuana, the authority may refuse or deny a license for what's called good cause. And good cause means any one of the following 4 things. And there are some sub-points, so try and stick with me. Number 1, the licensee or applicant has violated or does not meet or has failed to comply with any of the terms, conditions, or provisions of Article 43.3 of Title 12 of the Colorado Revised Statutes and rules promulgated pursuant to this title, or any supplemental local law, rules, or regulations. That's the first one. The second one is if the licensee or applicant has failed to comply with any special terms or conditions that were placed on its license pursuant to an order of the state or local licensing authority. This doesn't apply here because no license exists yet. Number 3, the licensed premises have been operated in a manner that adversely affects the public health, welfare, or the safety of the immediate neighborhood in which the establishment is located. This also doesn't really apply since the premises have not been operated yet. And the fourth criteria is the licensed premises will impair the use or development of adjacent conforming properties or alter the essential character of the neighborhood. So with that kind of public service announcement, I guess, if the applicant is here, we're ready to proceed. And if you could state your name, and Jackie will sign you or swear you in.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this matter now being heard by the Englewood Liquor, Hotel, and Medical Marijuana Licensing Authority?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and address.
Richard Pfeffer, and that's P like Paul, F like Frank, E, F like Frank, F like Frank, E-R. Said that a few thousand times. This is 1490 South Lincoln Street, Denver.
Thank you. And you may proceed with the presentation of evidence in favor of your application.
I'm not really sure what you want to hear, but I am the managing partner, so the character of the company has a lot to do with me, so I'll tell you a little bit about my history to start with, and then I'll tell you a little bit about our company, and you can ask me any questions. I'll have someone, a trainer, who trains all of our salespeople is here, so she can tell you about our training, how we approach the public, and what our philosophy is, and those sorts of things. But I'd like to say that I've been a commercial real estate broker for 40 years, more. Sorry to say, in a way.
Oh, sure.
I'm sorry.
You can adjust the microphone. Yeah, there you go.
I've been a commercial real estate broker for over 40 years. I've held a Colorado mortgage broker's license, a Colorado insurance producer's license, a broker-dealer's security license. I've been regulated for almost all my adult life. I've been on the Park Meadows Metro District Board. I was their representative to the Southeast Business Development Council, and I was their representative to SETMO, the Southeast Transportation Management Organization. We lobbied the federal government to fund T-Rex, and that's how we got that done. I was a founding father of the city of Lone Tree. I've had a little bit of experience in doing what you guys do. I got into this business 7 years ago. I've been in it continuously, and I've been the managing partner of Be Good for 6 years, and Be Good has not had any disciplinary action whatsoever. We've not broken any rules or done anything wrong. We've never had a recall. Is our corporate philosophy to provide a clean, unadulterated product to our medical patients. And also we have a retail store now in North Glen, and we take the same philosophy over to our retail store. Recreational store. Retail is the state word for it. It's very confusing. I'm not sure what else you want to know. We're a small, not well-funded company. We have never had an excess of working capital. We've had to scratch and claw our way for the last 7 years, but we're still standing. And the other thing I should tell you is that the building that we're in is owned by my cousin. For full disclosure, I've been managing that business for him since I helped him purchase it about 10 years ago. We've managed that property. I've managed that property as my cousin's representative. His name is Mitchell. Actually, it's he and his wife, Mitchell Schoen and Vanya Parente. And I've managed that property for them all of this time. And I was the one who got him to enter into the leases for the other marijuana companies that were in that space prior to now. I'm not sure what else you'd like to hear, but I'll answer any question you want to throw at me.
You mentioned some other medical stores and one retail store. How many stores overall do you have?
At present, we have one store in West Washington Park, which has been open since November of 2009. And I wish I could bring the West Washington Park Neighborhood Association here to speak with you. We're very good neighbors. We now have also a medical store and a recreational store in North Glen. There is no neighborhood association there that can recommend us, but we are members of the North Glen Rotary, and we do a lot for them, and I think the city council and the mayor would speak highly of us, my opinion.
Thank you. Do any authority members have any questions?
Well, you mentioned, and I'm interested to hear what sort of training you're going to provide individuals.
I would like Cassie to speak to that because she's going to provide it. If that's okay with you.
Great. If there are no other questions go ahead.
Have any of your other locations had any criminal activity?
When you say criminal activity, we have been burglarized, but that's it. Oh, our North Glen location, 6 days after we took control of our North Glen location, we had an armed robbery in the recreational. I'm struggling with this. Retail is the state-mandated name for that, but if I say retail, it's very confusing. So I'm going to use recreational to distinguish it from medical marijuana, if that's okay with you people. In our recreational facility, we had a robbery, an armed robbery. That's the only, that and some burglaries overnight, which they never got any. You know, we lock up stuff real well, and they never get anything really, but they cause damage. We also, and those are stores, we also have grow facilities where we grow the marijuana. Did you want to know where those were? I can tell you about those as well.
But yeah, I'd love to hear where those are. Yeah.
Sure. We have one on Center Avenue in Denver. We have one on Jason Street in Denver. We have one on Calumet Street in Denver. And we have one in North Glen adjacent to our stores.
And with all of those locations combined, have there been any complaints to any regulatory authority or any, has the city of Denver or the state initiated any sort of disciplinary action toward any of those? Okay.
No. We've been investigated. We've been tested. We've had surprise visits. We've had everything. We've never had a complaint initiated, ever.
Okay.
Have you ever had any problem with any of your employees taking product or short-selling product?
I don't think so. We're pretty good at managing that. You know, everyone's on camera all the time, number one. Number two, we have a pretty good POS system that tracks things. And we've disciplined an employee for buying too much at employee prices because it appeared as if it was being bought for resale, and we don't want that. So we've disciplined an employee for that. The worst employee problems we've had are we've had a couple of people who just didn't fit in and tried to cause trouble rather than do their jobs, and we've had not the happiest splits. Other than that, no.
Is that part of their training, is the amount that they can purchase at an employee price?
They know that it's for their own personal consumption. We don't put an amount. We don't say everybody's different.
Yeah.
I personally have a very bad back problem, and I use quite a bit of our product. Everybody's different. Some people don't use very much at all. Some people don't use any. But what I'm saying, we don't do it by a strict amount. We do it by, you're supposed to be honorable, and this is what you're supposed to be doing, and when it's clearly excessive, we talk.
Is your West Wash Park facility, is that retail as well, or is that just medical?
That's strictly medical. Yes. And we lost our parking there, but our sales are up.
Is that also on South Broadway?
No, we're not on Broadway. We're in a little neighborhood on Pennsylvania Street.
Oh, okay. I know where
on
you
the
are.
corner of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
If you know Carmine's on Penn.
Right.
We're right next door to Carmine's on Penn, between them and Europa Coffee House. Interesting thing, this won't be the case in our place here because we're around the corner and it's a different situation. But in that situation, we don't have a sign. There's no sign in our facility at all. There's a little thing about this big on the glass that's our logo, just a B with a dot, so people know they're in the right place. But next door is a cafe where they have tables and chairs out front, and on Saturdays and Sundays, families sit out there with their little kids and they eat. And we just feel that in a neighborhood setting like that, a sign is for drive-by traffic. We're not going to get any drive-by traffic. We're not really giving that much up. And we don't want parents to have an explanation and have a discussion with their child before they're ready to. So we don't want to push it on them in that kind of a setting. Here will be different. We're in a business, we're in the central business district, right in the very, very, very center of the Englewood Central Business District. But we're around the corner. We have to find a way to have people know that we're there. We will have signage. But I'm just trying to say we're sensitive to neighborhood concerns. We're very sensitive to neighborhood concerns.
Mr. Pfeffer, can you, just for our benefit, we're looking through, and thank you for your patience with us. Our packet for this is 800 pages. So I'm on my computer here.
May I say that we're very well aware of that?
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure you are. So thank you for your patience. There may be a few pauses for silence, but
No worries.
I'm trying to find something here. So could you describe who Troy Van Orden is?
Troy Van Orden is, I'm not sure if he's still the 0% owner of our company or not. He manages a store that we have in Colorado Springs.
Okay.
And in point of fact, and this is something that's in our written agreement that's been turned into the MED, so they're well aware of this. The truth of the matter is that store is our license and our responsibility, but our management agreement with him gives him all of the profit. It's really, financially speaking, his store. Okay, and this is in our agreement. It's spelled out, and the Met is well aware of this. So he's on our ownership for that reason. Now they've changed their rules. They don't want 0% owners anymore. So they've required us to take him out of a 0% owner, and he has to become a licensed manager. Except that we're selling the store to him for free.
Sure.
Or almost free, a couple of thousand. So we're letting him take the store. We had one store. That was the one in West Washington Park. And we had a grow facility. It was a medical store. And if the medical store got closed, we would have had to close our grow and we've been out of business. At 2 or 3 years, 4 years after we opened our store, an old abandoned school 100 or 200 feet away was refurbished and reopened. And at any time, the feds could have come in and said, you need to close that store, and we would have been out of business. So we opened, instead of him opening his own store in Colorado Springs, we opened it with him so that we would have an ability to keep our grow facility open in the event the federal government told us to close our store because they opened a school. And so that helped us. And he got the benefit of opening sooner because we had a grow facility that could feed his store before he had patients. Okay? So it benefited both of us for us to work it together. For us, it was a cost. We didn't make any money. It cost us money, but it was insurance against having our store closed and being put out of business. For him, it was a benefit that he got in business sooner. He got product cheap. He made more money, and we got insurance. Now, we don't need the insurance anymore. We have the store in North Glen. We don't have to close if they close that store, and so we're selling it to him for a few dollars, and that's that. So that's who Troy Van Orden is.
Thank you for that.
It's a little we're in a complicated business, as you well know.
I understand, and I appreciate your level of detail. Is there any anticipation that he would be involved in the Englewood store, or when you sell that store?
The store we're selling is in Colorado Springs.
Right, and
so he has no involvement. He will have no involvement at all in the Englewood store. The Englewood store would be owned by Be Good. Be Good would no longer own the Elevation store in Colorado Springs.
Got it.
Be Good will own West Washington Park, North Glen, Englewood, and we hope to open a store soon in Federal Heights.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Pfeffer at this time before we?
One last question.
Yeah.
Why Englewood?
A lot of reasons. First of all, I've been in the city now working for my cousin for 10 years, and I like it. I like it a great deal. I just moved, and I didn't move to Englewood, but I moved very close, maybe 10 blocks away from your border. A second reason is my cousin owns this building. This building had a tenant in it that didn't pay rent. The tenant refused to pay rent, and the tenant closed their store and didn't stay open. He needs another tenant. I tried to get the owner of that business to sell that license to someone else and re-up. They wouldn't re-sign a lease. He needed someone to sign a lease to be a marijuana store. We need another store. We love Englewood, and here we are. It was a fit. It was just something that came together like that.
Do you think you're going to get that much business out of that location then, compared to your other stores?
No. I think we can, if someday if it becomes recreational, yes, we could do quite a bit of business. But as a medical store, I think it's going to draw, we have something like 12 or 15 patients at our West Wash Park store who are residents of Englewood but are signed up as members of our store. That means they shop almost exclusively at our store because they get a better price. And they've given us their plant count to grow plants for them, and they're Englewood residents. So I think some of the people we're going to get are going to be drawn from our other store. It's not that far away. But it is giving us a presence down the central spine of Colorado. And that's kind of what our retail plan is. So it fits.
Do you plan to convert this license, should it issue, to a retail license in the future?
I don't know. I really honestly cannot answer that question. I can't answer that question honestly is a better way of saying that. I can. I can say I don't know. I couldn't say yes or no, honestly, because we really don't know. There are so many factors to consider, and we're limited to a very small store area, and we don't want to give up medical. We're very committed to our medical model. So we don't like having the two of them in one space, and unless we could expand into the adjacent space, it's probably not very practical for us unless we could figure out how to do it in a way that we're comfortable with. If we figure it out, yes. If we can't figure it out, probably not. So I really don't know the answer to that until we get in there and work with it for a while and see what kind of customer base we have and so forth. I would love to have a retail store there because I think that would make us substantially more money.
Well, I think we'd love to speak with your trainer,
Okay.
If she's willing. So.
I'd be delighted to cede the floor to her.
Thank you. Hi, Jackie will swear you in.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear to affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this matter now being heard by the Englewood Liquor, Retail, and Medical Marijuana Licensing Authority?
I do.
Okay. Please state your name and address.
My name is Cassandra Gregg. I live at 8 South Logan Street, apartment 206, Denver, Colorado, 80209.
Thank
Maybe you can just provide an overview for us of the training that you provide to the employees there.
Yeah, absolutely. I started with the company over 6 years ago, actually when we only had the West Wash Park location. I was actually the store manager there for quite a few years, and then when we expanded to North Glen, I was able to be a district manager, essentially, which eventually turned into a training opportunity for me to be able to train all of our locations to make sure that all of our processes are the same. So we go through quite a bit to make sure that our bud tenders, especially the people that are serving to the public, are properly trained. One of the things that we make sure that we do is the Responsible Vendor Program. The Responsible Vendor Program is actually licensed through the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment and the Marijuana Enforcement Division. So that actually is a pretty extensive, it's about a 4-hour class that they go through where they do little things such as verifying IDs, anything that you would expect from like the tips that you guys were talking about earlier. In addition to that, we do interpreting classes through Trichome Institute as well, who also provides that Responsible Vendor Program. The interpreting class is pretty much a way that we can kind of verify and kind of determine where the competency is with their understanding of the product, and we have quite a few people that have passed that as well. We also do metric training. As you guys know, probably we are required by law to do everything through metric, which is a program that makes us track everything from seed to sale. In addition to that, we have to enter in patients as members, like Richie was mentioning earlier, and so we have to make sure that they're trained on that properly as well. We also do our own individual training just with the company. We have SOPs, job descriptions, and the individual training that I do in addition to the responsible vendor. Some of the things that we do are medical dosing to try to determine with using the state's guidelines as far as being able to properly dose our patients without them going home over medicated and making sure that they're leaving just educated so that they're able to handle the product. We also do anybody that handles cash. We have like cash handling policies. So pretty much anything you can think of. Another thing that Richie mentioned also is that we do BioTrack, which is our POS system, which keeps everything in order. It keeps all of our product and our employees in the right place. So, yeah, I kind of covered it all. I don't know if you have any questions about each one.
Thanks. I don't have any other good writer. Do you have? No?
Follow-ups? I do have one additional question for Mr. Pfeiffer, though.
Thank you, Cassandra.
Thank you, guys.
You had mentioned a burglary at one of your other facilities, and I'm just curious what sort of security you provide at the store.
We have to have, by law, by state law, we have to have all the entrances, windows, and so forth,
surveilled.
More than surveilled. They all have to. Surveillance is a separate issue from security, and it is part of our security, but we call them different things. The doors have the contacts. They have contacts that break, and then we put additional things beyond that, and they have to be monitored, but we do additional things beyond that. We put shock things on the doors so that the minute they start trying to break in, the alarm goes off instead of waiting for them to get in before it goes off. It gives them less time when they're inside the store. Time is the whole issue with them. You can't stop them. We have every store that we have so far, and we have to figure out how we're going to do it in that store. I think I know the room we're going to do it in. We have a safe room where the room is, the walls are more sturdy. They have extra layers on them, steel or sometimes fiberboard. The contractors decide, but they put layers on the wall to make it thicker and harder to break in, and we put a steel door, sometimes a 5-point door on that. So it's like a safe, but it's a whole room, and that's where we keep the product at night. So the product isn't exposed when we're not in the store. We haven't had, like I said, we had that one robbery like a few days after we took over the big retail store in North Glen, but since then we've never had a robbery. We beefed up the security. We don't let people in the same way. They used to just walk right in, and it was too easy for them to get in, and 4 of them came in at once with guns, and now we don't let them do stuff like that. But we also have surveillance that's mandated by the state, and the surveillance, every entrance has to have cameras on it. Everybody has to be able to be tracked from the minute they walk in to the minute they walk out. Any place where people are paying, there has to be a camera on the cash register and on the stuff they're doing. And every place that the product always has to be on camera. It can't ever go off the camera. So all of those things help with. Now, you cannot make a place impregnable. Fort Knox isn't impregnable. It's just not worth the effort. And that's what you can do, is make it someplace else easier. There's no such thing as an impregnable place. And also, there are a lot of laws to protect, I think to protect innocent people, the laws are there, but they really protect the burglar. You can't do certain things that would make it a lot harder for the burglar, because it could trap a fireman inside when he's fighting a fire, or it could hurt somebody else. You can't have booby traps where somebody breaks in, they get shot or something. You just, there's a lot of things you can't do, and it's very, 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 you can't make it so the burglar can't get out once he gets in, because then you've made a fire trap for someone. They can't get out of the place, so you have to make sure he can carry your goods out. It's very, very difficult. Burglary is a very, very difficult thing to prevent against. Very difficult. We work hard at it. It costs us. You're welcome.
Well, if Mr. Pfeffer, if you have nothing further to present, we can now take testimony from those who signed up to speak in favor. I think we'll do in favor first and then opposed second. So if, let's see, we have a list here in favor. And is Tim Morgan here?
Do you swear to affirm, to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, in this matter now being heard by the Englewood Liquor, Retail, and Medical Marijuana Licensing Authority?
I do.
Okay, state your name and address, please.
Tim Morgan, Timmorgen. I live at 233 South Jasper Circle in Aurora, 80017. I have been working for Be Good for the last 9 months, being hired as the Community Relations Officer. In the time, we have tried hard and to be a positive and instill positive change in the local communities that we operate. We're members of our local RNOs. We're members of Denver INC, Rotary up in North Glen. And basically, my job is revolves about making sure that we work well with the local municipalities, people of interest in the local communities, and that we are open for dialogue in any way to ensure that we have the best business practices in our local communities. I've had the pleasure of also getting to attend a few city council meetings here in Englewood, and looking forward to, hopefully, if the license being granted, signing up and becoming members of the chamber of the greater business chamber of Greater Englewood. So we hope to, if being given the license, be given the chance to become a positive institution in Englewood. Also planning on doing hopefully doing some community work together with Hope here in Englewood, helping our people excel who has a food garden. So, but that's a little down the road. I'm speaking in favor of the application for Be Good Ventures, and I hope we will get it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any dialogue? Or no?
I don't think we have any questions for you. It's typically just a statement. Thank you. Next is Mr. Reistroffer, if you'd like to say something. As a reminder, there's 2 minutes on the timer, which is what that little light is on the podium. 3 minutes.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, in this matter now being heard by the Englewood Liquor, Retail, and Medical Licensing Authority?
I do.
Great. State your name and address, please.
My name is Emmett. Excuse me, I do have a little bit of a sore throat tonight. My name is Emmett Reistroffer. I reside at 832 Mariposa Street in Denver. I'm a proud former resident of Englewood. First, we'll just state the obvious that it's great to be back, and I thank all of you for your service. I know you're volunteers, and I just appreciate the work that you do. I'm actually here tonight to represent the property owner who Mr. Pfeffer referred to. I'm here, and I state this knowing that it's pretty rare that I put myself out there to publicly support cannabis companies. Some of you know I do consulting for the cannabis industry, and I really only align myself with companies that share my own philosophies, and that usually is a community-centered philosophy. Companies that really go above and beyond to be responsible operators, and also very happy to call Mr. Morgan a friend. I'd met him by going to some of those Denver Inc. meetings and noticed that he was one of the few cannabis industry reps that really went above and beyond to get involved in neighborhood groups. So I have no doubt that Mr. Morgan will be a good ambassador for this company. So I thought it was worth it to show my support. I did submit a letter today. I don't know if it got in the file, but I emailed it. So I did bring copies just in case you still needed it. Otherwise, I'll recycle these. But long story short, on the letter, you can see the property owner is very supportive. They have a relationship with the applicant, can attest to their character, and quite frankly think that this new applicant will do a much better job than a previous tenant. There's just a lot more effort being put in. So we're also very excited about the new development that's going on in that area, and we think Be Good would be a wonderful addition, and just hope to see a lot more investment in that part of Englewood. So if you have any questions about the letter, I'm happy to speak on Vanya's behalf. Or I can let you know anything else about that property. They purchased it in 2008, and they're just excited to get another tenant back in there that can be successful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the list is Christopher Pryor.
Raise your hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, in this matter now being heard by the Englewood Liquor, Retail, and Medical Marijuana Licensing Authority?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
Christopher Pryor, 3240 South Delaware Street, Englewood, 80110. I'll be brief. I received a really nice letter from these folks introducing themselves, basically. And it was very tasteful. I have visited their Wash Park store, and I think that they'll really be a good fit for the area here. And being a resident that walked here, I think they're a good fit. And the letter was what prompted me. Not very many companies do that. Introducing themselves and asking me to come, asking just if you have any questions, any concerns, just give us a call. So that's coming from a resident.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you. Next on the list is John McBroom.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this matter now being heard by the Englewood Liquor, Retail, and Medical Marijuana Licensing Authority?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
My name is John Baker McBroom. I live at 17062 Hastings Court in Parker, Colorado, 80134. Let's see. I currently, I guess you could call me the Chief Compliance Officer. I don't know what my title is. I coordinate the tasks and duties of compliance at Be Good Ventures. I haven't been in the industry long. I have a very heavy math and science background. Don't ask me what spurred me into this industry. I saw it growing, and I thought I could provide something. I definitely have been able to provide for Be Good. I've been able to relieve the stress of some of the owners that have been filing an immense amount of paperwork, as I can imagine you guys have been delving through. I can tell you one thing about Be Good is my approximately a little more than a year with them. I have never worked with a company that lives true to its name, Be Good. One of the first statements said to me was, I be good. And it's a philosophy I've held with my life, is to do good upon others. I've been in Boy Scouts, leave the areas I traverse across cleaner than I found it. And I've never, ever worked for a company that has been able to do that in their daily practice. Other than that, I can't answer any questions in relation to the paperwork, as I pretty much was the one who filed it. But I'll leave it brief at that.
Thank you. Next on the list is Jenny Burdick. Okay, thank you. Neil Pachter or Dacter?
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matter now being heard by the Englewood Liquor, Retail, and Medical Marijuana Licensing Authority?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
Neil Pachter, 609 East Bayard Avenue, Denver, Colorado, 80209. I don't have a whole lot to add to what's already been said. I am the other managing partner at Be Good, and I'm actually the operations coordinator, and I deal with things ranging from the IT to sales and general operations of our facilities and grow houses. I can honestly say I've met a lot of people in my life, and my partner, Richard Pfeffer, is one of the most honorable men I've ever met. I myself come from a software development background. I've done multi-year projects with General Electric, IBM, Lockheed Martin. I've had a secret clearance with the United States government. I've done work with the Air Force and the Navy. And I just feel we all share the same view of, we want to operate an honorable business and provide the best services as possible to our clientele. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. How did you meet with Mr. Pfeiffer?
When I first got involved with the company, I lived right around the corner from the West Wash Park location, and actually Mr. Pfeffer owned a grow facility. And at one point, they passed a law where the vertical integration law, store had to be associated with a grow house. So that's how the store met the grow, and we met Richard Pfeffer, and that's how him and I met back then. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Next on the list is Graydon Washington.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this matter now being heard by the Englewood Liquor, Retail, and Medical Marijuana Licensing Authority?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
My name is Graydon Washington. In council, I sincerely apologize, but I do not feel comfortable disclosing my address due to someone who's in the audience tonight. I hope that's all right.
That's fine. We have it here. I won't read it out loud. If it's a security concern, that's fine.
Cool. Thank you very much. Like I said, my name is Graydon Washington. I've been with Be Good for 3.5 years now. I started out in cultivation. I was there for about 2 years. Currently, though, I am the facilities coordinator, and I can speak to the security issues you folks have because I look over those and facilitate that. To what my boss was saying, we have a extensive camera system that covers all of the facility, indoor and outdoor. Sorry, I'm a little nervous here. And we have a security guard at one of our grows that actually monitors that at night when in the past where we've seen that's the highest risk of being burglarized. We also have the alarm mechanisms, the contactors, the shock contact. I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous here still. But that's also that's monitored 24/7 also. Aside from that, we will also put in steel doors and steel frames. Actually, the front door currently has a steel door, steel frame. And again, those are just steps we take to secure the product and the people who are doing business there and come to purchase product. To what I was also saying that I worked in cultivation for 2 years. My boss alluded to that we've never had a recall. That's something we take a lot of pride in. We take an approach to growing that's very rare that most growers in Colorado don't do. It's called IPM, which stands for Integrated Pest Management. So where other growers, run into problems like pests and pathogens, they might spray their problem away with a dangerous pesticide. We like to use biologicals like bugs, for example, like ladybugs, theta beetles, and cucumbers, and they target different pests and also just how we set up our plants and our system, making sure there's proper airflow and the plants have space in between each other. I apologize for the stuttering and the grammatical errors. This is my first time.
That's fine. Thank you very much.
And I love my company very much. They gave me the opportunity. I'm only 24 years old. They gave me the opportunity to purchase my first house, which I did back in August. And I just love this company and what they stand for. And thank you, folks. And as we say, be good.
Thank you. Next on the list is Cassandra Gregg, but unless you have anything to add. Okay. And then our final sign-up is Nathan Best.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this matter, now being heard by the Englewood Liquor, Retail, and Medical Marijuana Licensing Authority?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
Nathan Bestie, representing Positive Vibes, another new business in Englewood. I think a lot of people, when we came in, had an idea of us and how head shops run and how the community runs. And I think that already within the first 3 or 4 months of being open, that we've had quite a different change of pace and different change of minds in the area. And they realize how serious we are about our business, just like like other businesses are too. And so I just wanted to see if we can give them a chance, just like they gave us a chance to be here. So that's all I have to say. Thanks.
Thanks very much. To wrap up the in support portion, we have a letter here from Vanya Parente that she requested, I believe she requested we read it into the record. It's fairly short, so. My name is Vanya Parente. My husband and I are sole owners of the building at 11 West Hamden Avenue, which, for reference purposes, is the location of the application. This is the only investment property we own. I am a retired Head Start teacher. I live on a modest pension, Social Security, and income from the building at 11 West Hamden. I want you to know that I support the use of our building for a medical marijuana dispensary. I have several friends who have found relief from their pain and other symptoms by using medical marijuana. I believe our building is a convenient and appropriate location for a medical marijuana dispensary, being located near the city center, major medical facilities, and other amenities. The location is discreet and well-maintained and not located near any schools or daycare centers. Furthermore, we believe the applicants for the new dispensary will be responsible business operators and positive contributors to the community. Last year, we did not make a lot of money from the building. This year, in large part due to the large-scale construction next door, we have not made any money at all, and we are hopeful that that will change soon. Your approval of this qualified medical marijuana business would help greatly and provide a needed service to patients in the area. So thank you for all the testimony. And now we can move to those who signed up to speak in opposition of the issuance of the license. The first is John, I believe it's Cohen. Gunta. Okay. No, it's fine. Jackie will swear you in.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, in this matter now being heard by the Englewood Liquor, Retail, and Medical Marijuana Licensing Authority?
I do. And may I approach? I brought a entry of appearance, if you want that for the file.
Oh, you can give it to Jackie.
Thank you.
And is that, are you the attorney? Are you the attorney?
Yes, sir.
Please state your Supreme Court number.
I'm John Guttel, appearing on behalf of ADG Herbal Medicine Incorporated. I am 33215.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to request a little additional time, if I could. I didn't prepare for 2 minutes. I think I can promise you I won't double that, and I assure you I think you should be apprised of what I want to say.
I think that's fine.
Without further ado, I'm appearing on behalf of ADG. ADG used to be a licensee at that location, so they were your former licensee. Mr. Pfeffer was the agent for the landlord during those days. The landlord is, as he's made clear, his cousin. ADG began that tenancy back in 2014. In 2015, the city wrote a new ordinance which essentially locked the licenses on their locations. There were 3 licenses at the time. The ordinance said they could remain, essentially capped at the number at 3, and said you had to stay on your location. Now, if you own the location, that might not be too big a problem. Where you're a tenant, it puts the landlord in an incredibly strong position to demand an exorbitant rent. That's exactly what happened. In 2015, ADG negotiated a lease which doubled its rent from $5,000 to $10,000. When we came up to 2016, the landlord, as communicated through Mr. Pfeffer, again requested a doubling of rent from $10,000 to $20,000. My client refused to pay that rent. They played chicken with each other right up until the time that the license expired. We could not renew the license without a new lease on the premises. During that time, it's important to note that Mr. Pfeffer engaged in negotiations to purchase the license, trying to buy it at fire sale prices as the clock wound down on the renewal. So it's especially distressing to see that it's now worked out where he's in a position to be in this room applying for a license on a property where he colluded with his cousin to drive the rent up to a point where the tenant couldn't make a business work. I'd be very interested to see what his rent rate is to his cousin right now on that location. He also made it impossible for my client to sell the license. They were demanding that same kind of rent from any prospective purchaser of it. So at the end of the day, my client lost his license and objects to Mr. Pfeffer receiving one under those circumstances. Also, and importantly, you referred to the conditions upon which you could make a finding that you would not be issuing the license. You referred to 1243.3308, specifically 1B, which requires you to find evidence that the applicant has or can demonstrate that they will have possession of the license, or the leased premises or the premises if they're to receive the license. Importantly here, there's current ongoing litigation between the landlord and my client where the landlord is maintaining that ADG is a holdover tenant to claim extra rent in their lawsuit. I don't see how they can sit here right now and say there's a good lease for Be Good while they're also saying that ADG is a holdover tenant. That seems like an inconsistent and unfair position to take. I have a case number here for benefit of City Council. Case number is 2016 Charlie Victor 32784. There's also action pending between the landlord and, let's say, my client and others in a sealed proceeding that I don't think I can say anything more about, but perhaps in discussion off record we can give you enough to find out about that. But suffice it to say that that same claim is being made in that proceeding as well, that there's a holdover tenancy and additional rent is due. I expect you will see a filing on my client's behalf, both against the city for what we believe was a failure of due process and ordinance that resulted in unfair taking of my client's property, and an action against Mr. Pfeffer and the landlord. And that's all I have to say, and thank you for the additional time.
Thank you, sir. If there's nothing further,
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Pfeffer, if you'd like to say something, please come forward.
First of all, it's a complete mischaracterization of what happened. I can provide evidence if necessary, but really I think that's a civil issue that has nothing to do with this proceeding, and if they want to sue us for something, they can. At the time that the lease was entered into that expired that you wouldn't renew. At my urging, the owner, Mr. Schoen, offered them that $10,000 lease for whatever period of time they wanted. They could have had 20 years, 80 years, 1 year, at least a year, but any period of time they wanted. They chose 1 year. If they had taken 20 years, they'd have had it for 20 years, but they chose 1 year. 3 or 4 months later, they stopped paying rent. They have not paid rent in over a year. At the time, I tried to contact them many, many times to ask them to renew the lease. I did not try to interfere. I did say I would buy the property if they would. I would buy the license if they would sell it. We did try to buy it. We offered them $300,000 in payments of $5,000 per month, and we would take over that $10,000 a month lease. They wouldn't. Not only wouldn't sell it to us, they wanted to sell it to someone else. I offered to help them sell it to someone else. After some time, they wouldn't even return my calls. The lease expired. They wouldn't return my calls. A receiver got involved. That's the case that Mr. Guttel is referring to. It's a divorce between the owner of ADG and his wife, and a receiver got involved. I asked the receiver if he would sell the license, if they would renew the lease. We offered them the same $10,000 lease. We never asked for 20. We said it'll go up to 20 if you decide to go recreational. We never asked for $20,000 from them. We asked for $10,000 all along. If you look at the lease that I signed as Be Good Ventures, it's for $10,000 a month. So we're renting it for exactly what they refused to rent it for and refused to pay for. There was no collusion to take anything away from them. I gave them every opportunity. Without going to my cousin and saying, throw them out, give it to me, I tried like crazy to negotiate with Mr. Guttel to get him to renew that lease at the $10,000 number. And I told him I would buy the business from him if they renewed the lease. And I begged him to renew the license so it wouldn't go fallow. I didn't know we were going to have the opportunity to do this. I was trying to buy that license. They refused not only to renew the lease, but to pay the rent, to operate the business, which is in violation of the lease, and they also wouldn't call me, wouldn't return my calls. Neither Mr. Guttel nor Kiri Humphrey, the owner of the company, would return any of my calls. And then I offered the receiver to buy the business from him, and we offered the lease to the receiver, and they refused to sign the lease. We signed the exact same lease that they refused to sign and we offered to them. And if we didn't take their property from them because they could have had an 80-year lease if they wanted it. They decided they only wanted 1 year. I don't know what else to say.
Thank you. The next sign up here for input is, I believe it's Colleen Dickinson. Dickerson, I'm sorry.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this matter now being heard by the Englewood Liquor, Retail, and Medical Marijuana Licensing Authority? Please state your name and address.
Colleen Dickerson, 2835 South Pennsylvania Street. While I think the location is the only one that's viable, I question the propriety of approving this application, given the testimony from the attorney and ongoing civil litigation on the property. We got fooled, the citizens and this board, on the last application at 5005 West, South Federal. That testimony could not be verified, and there was a lot of false testimony given, and you approved that license, and that store never opened. And it's backed up to residential, so there's a lot of problems with medical anyway. And as I said, this application, this location is probably better than any that exist in the city. But I still question the propriety given the testimony I've heard today. Despite the letter Mr. Pfeiffer sent and repeated his testimony, there is no retail license on the state list for recreational in North Glen in the name of Be Good as of April 3rd, 2017. So either the state is completely screwed up and we can't rely on anything they said, or Mr. Pfeiffer is not accurate and there is no license for recreational store in the name of Be Good. There are currently 3 licensed medical facilities in the name of Be Good on the state list. The one is at 80 Pennsylvania, and their license expires today, and there's no evidence that it's been renewed. There is a second one in Colorado Springs, and a third one in Federal Heights, not North Glen. May I have a little more time? A minute or two?
You have a minute left. Yep.
Okay. There are 6 listed cultivation facilities in the name of Be Good, 2 in Colorado Springs. And there are 2 stores in the greater Denver area, plus the proposed. We need to make sure that a new license in Englewood fully adheres to state laws, especially that they can maintain the requirement to supply the 70% of stock from their facility. Now, all these grow facilities are in the name of Be Good, but they don't have to be in the same city. They just have to have the name, and they have to supply 70% of the stock for any location from that facility. We need to make sure, well, I'll end anyway. I expect you to deny this application or put it off until information can be verified and made accurate.
Thank you, Mrs. Dickerson. Mr. Pfeffer, if you'd like something to add.
The licenses in North Glen are in the name of Botanicare, which is 100% owned by Be Good. So that's the confusion there. That's all I wanted to clear up.
Thank you. There's another very brief letter that has been submitted in opposition of the license. It is from Priscilla Jeffers at 3770 South Galapago Street in Englewood. And it begins, Dear City Council. We're not City Council, we're just the authority tonight. But that aside, in regard to the application for a medical marijuana center license, I strongly protest. As a longtime resident, I do not think anything can be gained except for the monetary benefit of that industry. Thank you, Priscilla Jeffers. Thank you, those who spoke in favor and in opposition. There's, yeah, please. I saw your hand first. Please come up and yes. And once again, Jackie will swear you in. Sure, what have you got here?
Hi.
Can you
My
please
name
raise
is
your right
Ron
hand?
Gold.
Sorry.
Sorry?
Can you please raise your right
sorry.
hand? That's okay. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this matter now being heard by the Englewood Liquor, Retail, and Medical Marijuana Licensing Authority? Please state your name and address. Speak in the microphone. Can you speak in the microphone, please?
Ron Gold, 282 South Bannock in Englewood.
Thank you.
Mr. Gold, you have 3 minutes.
Okay. First, the letter seemed somewhat misleading in that the letter mentioned a hearing on April 7th regarding 10 East, Hamden, and all this talk has been about 11 West on April 5th. So that first seemed somewhat confusing. But, and
do you mean the notice or which
the
letter?
The notice that was sent out, yes.
By who? By the city or by the applicant?
By the applicant. Okay. I don't know the reason for that, but I don't know if that was deliberate but it certainly was misleading. As the applicant mentioned, there have been burglaries and armed robberies at their sites. Under U.S. federal law, marijuana is very illegal and largely a cash business. Marijuana crime has increased, according to state statistics. And by the way, 70% of marijuana-related crime has been taken place in marijuana facilities, again, according to the state of Colorado. America's most powerful law enforcement official, Attorney General Sessions, has stated, marijuana is against federal law, and that applies in states like Colorado, where they have repealed their anti-marijuana law. On March 16th this year, he said, I reject the idea that America will be a better place if marijuana is sold in every corner store. We need to state clearly that using drugs will destroy your life. He also later called marijuana a life-wrecking dependency. Englewood is now trying to redevelop itself as a more upscale, desirable location. Crime risks, unpleasant odors from a marijuana store in the middle of downtown Englewood is not a way to increase its appeal to neighbors, to whether businesses or the nearby residences, or help property value. Here, this is a building that, according to the owner, would have noticeable signage. This signage could be both on Broadway and Hampden. And incidentally, he also stated that he didn't even anticipated much business. Now, we already have on Broadway, just 7 blocks away, a much larger marijuana dispensary. Putting a second one means that this business is going to be divided by 2. It's unlikely to give much additional sales tax revenue. So there becomes the question of what is the benefit, if any, for the city of Englewood. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gold.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this matter now being heard by the Englewood Liquor, Retail, and Medical Marijuana Licensing Authority? Please state your name and address.
My name is Pamela Beets. I live at 3224 South Delaware Street, Englewood 80110. I have 2 main concerns. One is personal, from personal experience of living here in Englewood and the effect of marijuana. And the second is some of the testimony that I've heard tonight. You know, one of my first thoughts in listening to some of the testimony is, this is kind of a really interesting business. It seemed a little sketchy in the way some things are arranged. The other thing I thought, he's got a really slick PR campaign, and that bothers me. I also know that I think in Englewood, medical marijuana is taxed at a much lower rate. So the likelihood of Englewood making considerable money off this venture and them staying a medical marijuana outlet might be pretty slim. And that to expect a retail location in this, and I'm sorry, my asthma is really bad, and I have to say, being around anybody who's been around marijuana, I can't breathe. And I know they're probably laughing because and I'll mention that in a minute, but that the likelihood of this becoming a recreational venture, I think, will be very high. And, you know, someone mentioned about complaints. You can't complain about marijuana in Colorado. I've been ignored about my medical history and difficulties with my neighbors smoking marijuana openly. And I think we're going to see an increased crime rate. You're not going to get very much tax money. And one of the issues that I see living so close to the other marijuana facility and the light rail and bus is the enormous amount of vagrants. And most of these vagrants are young white men of a certain age group. And they're not, they're not going back and forth to light rail with business attire. You know, during the summer, you can see a stream of vagrants going up and down Eastman smoking weed. I saw someone smoking a pipe on Broadway yesterday. I was in the bank at Wells Fargo the other day, and the lobby stank. I ended up with an asthma attack and had to leave. My neighbors smoke outside. My block stinks because To me, marijuana stinks. They're probably growing marijuana illegally. They're in their garages, or maybe legally. I don't know. But in the last 9 months, I used to come to the library frequently. I don't come to the library anymore. The last 2 times I've had incidents. One time, the security guard asked me where I'd parked, and I said, in the underground parking. He said, I'll escort you to your car. And I said, it's Sunday afternoon. You don't need to escort me. He said, no, you are not going to your car unless I take you there. He took me to my car door, made sure I got in my car, and was leaving before he left. The last time I was at the library 2 weeks ago, I saw people smoking weed out in their car in front of the library. And I wish, would you indulge me a couple more moments?
You can finish your thought. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So that's constant. The other thing that's happened to me is I wasn't attacked, but I was harassed. And the only reason I might not have been attacked in my car by a vagrant is because one of my neighbors called the police. And it's a vagrant who lives in the neighborhood, and we've complained about him selling drugs. Maybe he doesn't have anything to do with this medical marijuana facility, but the kind of people that are living in our parks, my alleys, I've found trash that includes articles of clothing and pornography in my front landscaping. My neighbor and I constantly pick up trash in front of our houses, and I mean disgusting stuff. And the amount of vagrants that are living in our area because of the proximity of light rail, Broadway, and marijuana facilities, to me is disturbing. And it's made the quality of my life here really unpleasant.
Thank you, Ms. Beats.
Thank you.
If there's no further input, which doesn't look like there is, I'll entertain a motion to retire to executive session for a brief conference with with the city attorney's office. So if someone would like to make a motion for that.
I'll make a motion that we go into executive session.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, please raise your hand.
All votes have been cast. Let the record show 4 ayes.
Okay. The public hearing will be suspended for a few moments while we speak with the city attorney's office, and we'll try to keep it brief and keeping in mind the late hour. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your patience. At this time, we'll resume the public hearing for Be Good Ventures LLC. Were there any citizens present who didn't get a chance to speak up and who wanted to before we proceed? Not seeing any hands. We'll go ahead and proceed. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, can you please come to the microphone? Thank you, Mr. Gold.
Sorry, I had raised the question earlier that this mailing that was done had both, it seemed, an incorrect date and an incorrect address, where 10 East Hamden is not 11 West Hamden, and I'm just curious for any explanation why it would be misleading this way.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. We reviewed the mailing that was sent out, and it says April 5th at 7 p.m., at least the copy that we have.
This is all correct, and it also has the correct address on it.
Okay. I had received something that said 10 East Hamden and did say April 7th, really.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you. Did I see another hand somewhere? No? Okay. Well, great. Let's go ahead and proceed. And at this time, I will entertain a motion to, I suppose I'll entertain a motion to approve the license.
This time I'll make a motion to approve the new medical marijuana license for Be Good Ventures, doing business as Be Good at 11 West Hamden.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, please raise your hand.
All votes have been cast. Let the record show 3 ayes, 1 nay, the 1 nay being Member Spiegel.
Thank you. And now we will go down the line as we did earlier and discuss the reasons for voting the way we did.
I voted in favor of the medical marijuana license for Be Good based on the factors that we were provided. I don't think there was any good cause for denying this application. The licensee met all the requirements necessary to obtain a medical marijuana license, and I don't believe there was any testimony that showed that the licensed premises will impair the use or development of adjacent conforming properties. Also, I believe the testimony provided by Be Good about all of the responsible vendor program training and metric training provided to employees show that they will be in compliance, and I believe that they satisfied all the requirements, and that's why I'm voting in favor.
I voted in favor for essentially the same reasons as Member Mott. I wasn't. I didn't see any evidence of an impairment of adjacent conforming properties, or that the issuance of the license would alter the essential character of the neighborhood around the premises. And that notwithstanding, the applicant met the remaining requirements to avoid a good cause type of showing. And I appreciate the transparency that the applicant has displayed, and I thank everyone for coming out and voicing their opinions for and against.
I agree with that. My questions were answered by the legal team here about the questions that I had that would have been detriment to approving this. Most of them had to do with the legal situation, and certainly the residents wish we had more residents who could come forward and give us their opinion in that immediate area, but we also had a lot of residents that seem to be okay with it. It is already an existing site, which means that they'd already gone through the taste test, smell test, whatever before, which made it easier for you. and according to our own good cause laws, you were able to meet those requirements.
I voted against. I felt like some of the information required for the floor plan and layout of the business was not adequate for me to say yes, that you provided everything. And some of the testimony here, I feel like that despite what my council members here have said, it will alter the character of the neighborhood.
Thank you, fellow members. And at this time, I can entertain a motion to close the public hearing for the application for Be Good Ventures.
I move to close the public hearing for Be Good Ventures.
I second.
All in favor, please raise your hand.
All votes have been cast. Let the record show 4 ayes.
And the public hearing is hereby closed. On to our next agenda item. Thank you again for all of your participation.
Not all of them good.
No, not all of them.
Our next agenda item is the we appreciate conversations being taken to the hallway. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is authority members' choice. Do any of the members have anything they'd like to add at this time?
I do not.
No, I don't.
Please take conversations to the hallway. Thank you very much. Travis, do you have anything to add?
I don't have anything to add. Thank you.
Mark? Nope.
Jay.
Jay, sorry. Sorry. Next item is council's choice.
No.
Okay. And clerk's choice?
Nothing right now.
Do we have any another hearing coming up that's where we're going to have to appear? Or?
Not at this moment. I think the next one's going to be a telephone poll.
Okay.
We don't have anything new coming up in the site, so.
Thank you.
Is there any update on hearing officer status, debate, ordinance, things?
The city attorney's office is in preparation for preparing an ordinance to bring to council, but because it's a code amendment, that type of thing, so we've had some transition in city attorney's office, so they're just preparing that ordinance now to bring forward.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think that's it. Do we have to have a move? Or we don't have to.
I move to adjourn.
Okay.
I second.
I second. We're adjourned.
All right.